shed some light on the alleged misappropriated billions for Alexandra's Renewal Project launched in 2001. The briefing is on now. Let's cross there live.
The city of Joburg since 2001 spent 463 million. And then there was what is called the Human Settlement Fund from 2001 to 2005 was about 88 million. Then there is what we call MEC, Municipal Infrastructure Grant, which was 173 million. The Gauteng Department of Transport, because the Alexandra Renewal Project was not just about houses only. And in fact, this list is not complete because the Department of Education, you didn't give me a complete, and other departments. The Department of Transport is 109 million. There's a road called London Road. I think most of you know it and you use it. That road was not, yes, it's degenerating now. We can talk about that. The municipality is not servicing it. It's a municipal road. It was not there. That London Road had to be expanded. People were removed in London Road to expand it. So that was the Alex Renewal Project, to expand the London Road. It was never there. It's there now. So if people say nothing happened, then that's something else. And the Department of Economic Development would have spent about 15 million, which will be more than that as well. We didn't get the figures, but it's fine. The point is that, and then during the 2016-2017 financial year, Department of Human Settlement spent 46.7 million. The city of Joburg 48.3 million. Project in 2016 and 17 financial year included the M2 hostel redevelopment phase 3, 642 units, more than 27 million was spent. The River Park rental housing, 450 units, and I think most of those are now illegally occupied. Then you had the Alexandra phase 2 remedial project, which was 11 million. Alexandra extension 31, about 10.6 million. M1 hostel redevelopment, 1,750 units, more than 5 million. And on security services, we spent more than 2 million. But this is written like a billion. Yeah, if you were to read it properly. And on the project funded by the city of Johannesburg, without taking you through there, you'll see when you receive the statement, without belaboring the point, and the projects that are planned now. Because remember, you will be asking, the election down, they want houses, this and that, what's happening? So this is not just in response to that, but part of our plan of de-densifying Alexandra, creating space, and use what we call the block by block approach of developing Alexandra. And when you ask questions, we'll come to that. We already have land parcels in areas like Limbo Park, Frankenwald, Modderfontein, Waterval Estate, and we are dealing with what we call the implementation of the Alexandra Land Agreement, potential claims by the owners, because there is land in Alex that we could use, but it's occupied and is owned by a certain individual, so we'd have to have a process. So if you ask us what we're doing, that's part of what we're doing. And so in this current financial year, we'll be focusing as well on the implementation of the statement of intent. And this agreement should have been driven by the city of Johannesburg. And unfortunately, they have not been doing it, and they failed. We need to finalize issuing of title deeds to all qualifying beneficiaries around, rectify and rebuild all projects that have been abandoned, invaded or destroyed, work with different stakeholders to secure land redevelopment of Alexandra. So those are the projects, and I don't want to belabor the current projects in Alexandra. In the 2019-20 business plan for Gauteng Department of Human Settlement, it's about 28 million. that has been allocated and is going to be spent as follows: Nobuhle Hostel 10 million, Extension 31 8 million, River Park 5 million, and Butlabela Fleets Project 5 million. The budget is likely to increase after reprioritizing and after the interministerial committee would have made certain determinations on the way forward. So given the information that we have provided on how the money was spent on Alexandra Renewal Project, not Alexander, anyone who might have contrary information, we encourage those people to come forward and approach their nearest police stations and also the law enforcement agencies. They must do so without any fear, because that will help us as the provincial government to unearth the truth about what really transpired. If such allegations are true, that there was a misappropriation of fund, we are not going to protect anyone as the Gauteng provincial government. We are going to descend on anyone who's implicated on corruption, if there's any, like ton of bricks, because we want to make sure that every little cent that is at our disposal, we account for without any excuse. So we thought, because media is always asking, where's the 1.3 billion? So this is where the 1.3 billion is that people were talking about. We will give you the statement, the breakdown. You can go and look at those projects. But the question is, was it enough? No, it's not. The question is, was the work done enough? No, it's not. And therefore, that's why we have all these plans. We have even identified land outside Alex to deal with that. So at this point, we will take questions and take it from there.
Number one. Are you from the newsroom? Are you from the newsroom? Okay, so you can ask the questions. This is number one. Number two. Number three. 4. So this is the first and the last round, you know? We agree. Okay.
My first question for now is, as you indicated initially, that there was no ring-fenced amount for the Alexandra Renewal Project, and you have broken down the amount that you have expended by the provincial government, by the state of Gauteng department, as part and parcel of contributing to the project. How was the proximity of the renewal project management of this to the resources? Because one would, if you say there was no ring-fenced amount, one would think that if the provincial government or the state of Gauteng is going to contribute this amount or is going to do this, it would actually happen in the process of them actually engaging in the projects, rather than taking out money and giving it to the project manager, you know, of the. So how are the proximity of the project managers of the Alex project to the actual resources that were coming out of the department?
Your question is ambiguous, because when you are a project manager and you are in charge of the resources. So if you say how was the proximity, I wouldn't understand, because
that's the question I'm asking. Did the city of Gauteng, for example, if you say it contributed, for example, more than 400 million to the project, did the city give that 400 million specifically to the Alex Renewal Project, or did they do projects themselves as the city? That's the proximity.
Okay. Number two.
Thank you very much, MC, for the statement. My name is Ramadhan from Alex FM. Earlier on, you spoke about meeting Alex shutdown. I just want to know from the intermediate tax team, what has been the response? Because some of the issues that they raised was the concern that intermediate tax team hasn't responded to their demands. I just wanted to find out what is the response from the intermediate tax team.
Who is okay?
Again.
Is that on?
Yeah.
Okay, no. The interministerial task team will respond. Remember, we just had elections. We just had ministers 3 weeks ago. Before elections, the minister for Kokda was Dr. Zolim Kize. He was leading that. Now it's Dr. Nkosazana Dlamini Zuma. So that was 3 weeks ago. I know that there's work that has been done by the task teams, the government officials. Tomorrow, for instance, the DG of Kokda is convening other DGs and the HODs and Gauteng to deal with the issue. The land parcels I've spoken about is part of that work that the interministerial task team is doing. So the interministerial committee will definitely come back and report. So, which is what I said to the shutdown committee, that we will definitely and we are working with them in resolving these issues. And as you know, there's a lot of issues. See, there's 2 issues. And I must explain this. There's Alexandra Renewal Project, which the mayor of Johannesburg uses as an excuse for lack of service delivery. So this is important because the shutdown started in February, April. They raised issues about potholes, illegal structures. They raised issues about service delivery, issues about waste that's not collected. Then the mayor said, there was money stolen, Alexandra Renewal Project. These are 2 different issues. So I think I must firstly make this point. So instead of the mayor saying, we've got a plan, we've got resources, we will fix potholes, and this is when and how we'll fix them. We've got the plan, we will demolish illegal structures, this is why we'll do them. He says Renewal Project. The Renewal Project started 2001, and it was an intervention that was supposed to last for about 7 years, by the way. If you go into the archives, the provincial government even extended the period. Initially, it was supposed to be 7 years. So there's that issue of the shutdown, and that's why I want us to deal with it in that context and with the same understanding that the shutdown committee is raising contemporary issues of service delivery. Alexandra Renewal Project is history, and that's why people are saying money has been stolen. So what we are saying today is that as far as we know, with what we have at our disposal, and we are not saying there's not been corruption. We don't know, but people are saying there's corruption. So we are saying if there has been, please provide information, because you can't then, for instance, you had that reckless lady from the EFF who says, Lebogang Maile stole money. I never went for ARP. How will I steal money of ARP? So that's why now we had to open a criminal injury case. Because if she's saying someone stole money, you must provide information. You can't just peddle lies and tarnish people's images in vain. So that's one issue of the Alexandra. And what has been happening, unfortunately, since the shutdown, from time to time, even the media, there's an attempt to say the reason why people of Alexandra are living in misery is because 1.3 billion has been stolen. That's the narrative, which is not a correct narrative. And that's why today we attempt to take you through. I can tell you there's people who were removed. By the way, I'm from Alexandra, by the way. So I'm from here, I grew up here. So what I'm telling you, it's not what I read or I was given a report. So I know the school that, and that's why I know that you didn't include things. There's a school here called Skien. That's where I attended my primary. When I went to primary, this school was at 3rd Avenue. It came here because of the Alexandra Renewal Project. Brand new. There's a school here called Guabegilang with a big yard there. This school was at 2nd Avenue, Roma Catholic Church. It was never here. So people who are not from Alex. So I see some of them on TV. Yeah, you see it. They don't know. These people just came yesterday. They were never in Alex, and that's why they say nothing has happened. But if somebody says maybe enough has not happened, that's something else. But to say nothing, it's devoid of truth. It's not true. It's lies. So I can take you on and on about all the things that the Alex Renewal. So Mayor Mashaba is not. The problem with him is that he's under pressure. He's overwhelmed, and he accounts to that political party. of red berets and all that. And he doesn't run the city. He doesn't want to come and talk to the people of Alex. He says, no, this is the shutdown thing is a political thing. When you are the mayor, you don't have privilege of choosing who to speak to. When you are in public office, you speak to everyone, even the people you don't like. You must speak to them because you serve all those people. They might not have voted for you, but once they're in there. So I'm belaboring this point about the Alex Renewal Project because I want us to have a proper understanding that there we're dealing with history. And then the shutdown issues and the current status of the people of Alexandra, it's another debate we can enter into. It's contemporary. And that is why the issue we are raising about proximity. You know what I like, and I'm happy because Mayor Mashaba has got he has a forensic investigation. And I think we must put it on record that we support that forensic investigation of the mayor and we look forward to its outcome. And if there's any basis and reason for us as a province to launch an investigation, we will do that. We will never hesitate. We will never. Today we are not coming here to say, no, we can't investigate. We are not here to defend anybody. Today we are coming here to say that narrative which is in the public discourse, that nothing has happened, is flawed. It's not true. And that's why we are giving you the numbers. But if you say there is corruption, then that's another discussion. Who is corrupt? How have they been corrupt? And then the public might not have that information in detail, but they might know that no, this person, the lifestyle changed, this and that. So there must be some basis, and then we can do a forensic. So how government procurement works, because the city of Johannesburg never gave the province money. In fact, in most cases, the other way around. We give them the money. We give the city money. And when we give them money, we don't tell them how to procure, who to appoint, how to spend it. They've got their own procurement processes that are informed by what we call the Municipal Finance Management Act. The province and national have got our own processes governed by PFMA, which is what do you call finance? The Public Finance Management Act. And what happens is that when there is a project to be procured, let's say you want to build houses, you place an advert in the paper or in the tender bulletin and call on people who are interested to build, and you put a requirement, and that's why there's something called CIDB. In most cases they say we want CIDB level this and that. You then apply, and when we apply, there's a committee of government officials, not politicians, who sits, and they call them a BEC. It's a bid evaluation committee. They then evaluate. It's not one person. So you can only do corruption if you connive in that committee.
Actually, it's 3 committees.
Yeah.
It's bid spec.
Yeah, that is before. Yeah.
Bid adjudication.
Yeah. No, I'm talking about when people have put the tender. So they will then evaluate. After evaluating, they will take that to what they call BAC,
yes,
a bid adjudication. So that bid adjudication still has people and all that. So there's processes in government, contrary to popular belief, that in government you can, and that's why you've got people who phone ministers and MECs asking, I want $1 million, because there's that thing that, no, that money you have, it's your money, you can just put the hand and give to people. And there's no such a thing. It's obviously you've got sophisticated individuals who connive, who do all sorts of things. I'm not saying, but it's not easy, and that's why they end up being caught. That's why the state capture is revealing all those things, because those people undermined government processes, most of them. Because if you undermine and manipulate, you will be caught. That's how robust the system is. And that's why if you're to do a forensic, whoever did wrong will definitely be caught. But you can't just wake up and say, I'm now investigating everybody. It doesn't work like that, because investigations cost money, and that's public money. So if we investigate, there must be a basis and reasonable doubt that someone has stolen the money, and therefore we must investigate. I'm not sure if it answers your question.
I just wanted to like for our collective understanding, as you are saying, the money that is not ring-fenced, the money that is paid about, that it was committed by several spheres of government. I want you to actually say the money was, for example, if you refer to Joburg, 400 million plus that was set aside for Alexandra Renewal Project. They did ABCD, or they actually took out the money and gave it to the project managers or the Alex Renewal Project to decide what to do.
I'm not sure if you are the only one who's not listening to me. But in the statement, you will see that what is it that they've done. And that's why it's classified as City of Johannesburg, Department of Housing, Department of Transport. Because the department follows its own procurement process to get whatever services. The city follows. This is why I was explaining the procurement process. Because the city, with the 463 million, they have followed process. They decide. The municipal manager is the accounting, not even the mayor, by the way, decides on how the money must be spent. There's a person called municipal manager, and there's a person called chief financial officer. There's another person called procurement person. Then there's another person called program manager or whatever. So if you're a program manager, doesn't mean they say here's the money and you decide how. No, it doesn't work like that in government. This is why I was explaining to you the chain and how it explains. But in simple terms, the city of Joburg decided how to use the money. In simple terms. Yeah.
The project manager coordinating actual projects are implemented.
3, 4, 5. Well,
Peno.
MEC, do I understand you correctly that no money was embezzled from the 1.3 billion that is being talked about?
I want to explain a little from this origin. Can I understand, as we sit here, is there still ARP that was in charge? That's number one. Is there still ARP? You're mentioning people that you say were supposed to be 6, or they're supposed to 7, you write 6 names. Okay, here is the Department of Housing budgeting in the financial year. They're budgeting 50 million. What was the role of those people in the project? There seems to be no, I think that's where this question is coming from, if I understand it. You have these people you are mentioning, you have local government that has its own budget, you have provincial government. So what are these people doing? Were they paid? Did they sign contract? What was their status? Was there company? Were there even offices of ARP that people could walk in and get updates as to how are the 3 spheres of government investing in this area?
Katrava from Kaya FM. I just wanted to find out, you said you're cooperating with Mayor Human Mashaba's office where the forensic investigation is concerned. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, earlier this month, Mayor Human Mashaba told the media, released a statement that his office was broken into and that he blames one of the officials from the Human Settlement Department, the Provincial Human Settlement Department, to have been the one going into the office to steal files that were meant to form part of the forensic investigation. What is your reaction to that? Has he communicated with you where those allegations are concerned, and what are you saying about it?
Hi, my name is Kamal from Arizona. Mr. Chair, MEC, I've been listening to you. You did say what has been done in the past to actually try and make space for other people, whereby Deep Throat was developed, and so that people can create houses because we don't have space in Alex. And I see every now and then there's Alex shut down because we've got too much influx in Alex. And it's not Alexandrians, by the way, because come December, holiday times, it's peace. Lots of people go back home where they belong. So why is the Alex shut down by people that are not from Alex?
How will I know?
No, that's a statement that I have, whereby now we've got media that are supporting Alex shut down, not knowing the facts, not knowing what's been there, what's been done. Like as you said, there was no Pigilama, there was no skin there before. And even the hole that we're in right now, this was not shared. This was not shared. So we've got too much influx in Alex from people that are from outside coming into Alex and doing informal settlement, and then now they want housing.
Thank you. MC.
Is immediate.
Yeah. Thank you very much, Disha from Alex FM. Would you say Alexandra Renewal Project was a success or a failure? And if it was a failure, what led to the failure? The second question would be, on record, can you say that you have never benefited from the ARP indirectly or directly? Thank you.
Yeah, well, I don't understand what, because I've clarified that issue, what informs that thing. I said in the beginning, maybe you're late or you're not listening. I think you're putting this thing on in your ears. I told you that I've never worked for Alexandra Renewal Project. So how will I on earth benefit from the Alex Renewal Project? Maybe just point me a scenario on how possibly can I benefit. Because I don't understand what informs that question. Because there's always a basis for something that maybe I have a company, I worked for Alex Renewal. What informs it?
Can I help you? Maybe because Mike Maile is relating to you. Maybe that's a question. I'm just thinking.
So if Mike Maile relates to me, he's not my father. So he's got his own kids. I'm an adult. I work for myself. Why must I benefit from him? Because I'm not his beneficiary. I think you must think when you ask questions. You don't just ask things that, because I've dealt with that issue in the beginning. Why will I benefit from Mike? A grown up man like me, why? And that's what I want to know. So unless you say to me you've got something, then it's something else. So let's not ask questions for its own sake.
Is the MEC saying that he never benefited from the Alexandra Project?
Certainly not. I've never. If I had, I would have not opened the case. I've never benefited unduly. The only benefit I have from government is my salary and my pension that I work for. That benefit I have. Yeah, and that's allowed. So I do benefit from government, but through my salary and pension. And there are medical aid contributions. So I hope it won't arise again, that issue. I mean, the issue of influx into Alex is not just peculiar to Alex only. It's a Gauteng problem. People are coming to Gauteng. Every year there's 230,000 people who come to Gauteng. So it's not just how we deal with it, it's something else that we'll have to deal with later. But money that has been embezzled, am I saying, I don't know. And that's why we're making a call that those with information must come forward. I can't with certainty say there is no money embezzled. I can't. Because I don't know. But I'm interested to know, like yourself and everybody else. Because if there are people who did wrong things, we want those people to be punished. We shouldn't just talk about it. But remember, the narrative was that there was the narrative is that 1.3 billion is stolen. So we are saying from where we are sitting, we can account for that money. And these are the projects that were done. But in the process of executing those projects, we don't know what else happened. There could have been money that got lost. We don't know how much is it and all that. And that's why we welcome the investigation of the mayor. We hope the investigation will give us something. Does it answer your question? Okay. And then there's still ARP. The mayor of Johannesburg. And I'll keep on saying this mayor, because you know, my problem with the mayor of Johannesburg, he likes playing victim when he was messing up. When he came in, he closed a lot of projects, saying I'm fighting corruption and all that. And if you check, and maybe one day when there's time, we'll take you through that journey. Say, yeah, there was this project, there was that, yeah, this and that and all that. The mayor closed down. And that's where you have more problems now in Johannesburg. Because he just wakes up, he doesn't even understand. Because when you govern, you must at least have a basic understanding of what is happening. The area you are governing, what is it about? And I don't think the mayor understands. The Alex Renewal Project was, you'll see in the statement, was migrated from the Gauteng provincial government to the city of Johannesburg. It made sense because the geographic area is in the city of Johannesburg. But the mayor of Johannesburg decided that no, he's closing it down. And maybe you must ask him why he's closing it down. But from where we are sitting, we're looking at reviving not just the Alex Renewal Project, the Everton, the Pekesdal, and the Winterveld renewal projects, because we don't think that they've completed what they're supposed to complete. So I hope that answers your question. It was killed by the city. We are reviving it. And all this 463 million I'm talking about, it was not spent under Mayor Mashaba. It was spent under Mayor Pakstow, the bulk of it, which shows you that he has not been committed to the city. The development of the Alexandra people. And we're going to put a lot of pressure, by the way, on the mayor. Remember, my other task is MEC for COGTA, cooperative governance, with the responsibility in terms of the law to ensure that municipalities work properly. So we're going to put pressure on the mayor, not just on the Alex issues, but on the issues of the city. We're going to put the pressure not just on Mayor Mashaba, on all the mayors, because we want service delivery in all the municipalities of Gauteng. So we will be putting pressure on him and all other mayors and cities. So I think it's important, because I know he's going to cry soon. You'll see he likes complaining and accusing ANC of this and that. Just tomorrow I'm writing him a letter and we'll issue a statement. You'll see there's monies, lots of monies he's not spending. We gave him money, a lot of money. He's not spending those monies. There's projects that are stagnant. He's not moving on them. So I'm not going to play with him. We are going to attend to him systematically, because he said he wants to be a mayor. You can't want to be a mayor and the only thing you do is to complain about the previous administration, about corruption, about ANC. If there's corruption, arrest the crooks. Don't make media statement. Arrest the crooks, but that must not be an excuse for not delivering services. I know some of you guys, you like him because you think that he's doing well, but he's messing up the city. He's messing up the city, and Alex Renewal Project wouldn't be where we are now if he was not messing up the city, because that renewal project was supposed to be amplified and taken to the next level. Because as you can see in Alex, the situation has not improved drastically, despite the fact that these billions and millions have been spent. And that is why today we are being asked if we have benefited from these things. Because no one is doing what they're supposed to do. The 6 people we are talking about, you will see in the statement, it's people that have ran the Alex Renewal from 2001 up to recently, over a period of time. So these are projects. You know, Denny Jordan was a project manager of the 2010 World Cup. But you'll remember, I think this is a good example. You'll remember that Denny Jordan, as the CEO or the overall program manager, he was not having money to build the stadium. The stadiums were built by municipalities, for instance. He did not have money to build roads. They were built by departments of road. He did not have money to buy rear via buses or whatever. Those were done by, but there's a project, overall project. So even Alex Renewal Project, it's like that. So you've got the overall project manager who was based in the Department of Housing. Then the Department of Housing at the time, what is called Human Settlement now, will build houses. The Department of Education, I told you about the school, will build from their budget their school, and they will follow their processes. But it's under this person. But this person doesn't have the money with him or her. The roads, the Department of Road will build. The stadiums will build and all that. So that's how it was. Does it make sense now?
Okay. And are you saying then the project, I'm sorry, but are you saying therefore the project ended when Mashaba came in 2016? Would that be up?
It slowed down when he came in. He did not show commitment to it and gradually faded away. And it was not then, because once you say it's a renewal project, what you want is to get all different spheres to contribute, and you don't just focus on your little limited resources, because the impact must be bigger. There might have been few things that the municipality did since 2016, very small, but yes, the project ended with him. And that is why, in the name of corruption, you see, it's easy to cry wolf and say there's corruption. You know, in state capture, real corruption is coming out there. People are not just talking stories. They are saying, I gave Lebogang Maile this and that and all that. If you come to me and say, so and so says he gave you this and that, there's a basis, it's a direct question I must answer. You can't ask me, have you benefited from what is that? But if you say, so and so gave you money, what do you have to say? I'll have to answer. It was a direct question. So, Mayor Mashaba likes complaining about corruption, and I'm not saying he shouldn't. He must. He must. We're his partner in fighting corruption, by the way. But you can't then think that running a city is just about complaining. And that's what we don't want with him. Then the question of the mayor being broken in, it's another issue, you know. And I will answer. I want to say, as we're sitting here, the HOD works for the Gauteng province.
We're coming out of that address by the MEC for Human Settlements in Gauteng, Lebogang Maile, giving an update on the alleged misappropriated funds in the Alexandra Renewal Project. We come out of